Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining me for the first State of the Museum address. My name is Pete Miele, and I have the privilege of serving as Executive Director here at Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center, and as the President of the Seminary Ridge Historic Preservation Foundation. All day, it has stuck with me that just 3 years ago yesterday, the senior staff gathered in Schmucker House, just south of here, in my office, to consider the impact that the nascent COVID-19 pandemic might have on our spring visitation season. Not 4 days earlier, on Friday, March 6, 2020, we held our semi-annual board meeting and were officially informed that United Lutheran Seminary was going to assume the outstanding debt of the museum project, nearly $3 million. For the first time in the museum's existence, we were going to be debt-free. We walked out of that meeting believing it was going to be a new day in the museum's existence, a time of success and organizational growth. Now, on the following Monday morning, we were facing the harsh realities of a global pandemic. By the end of the week, we had made the painful but necessary decision to close our doors. For 3 months, traditionally the busiest months of the year, the halls of the museum were quiet. Working from home, the staff quickly pivoted to building online educational resources, keeping in touch with our friends and members via Facebook Live and Zoom, and eventually planning for a safe reopening. During this prolonged shutdown, I was honored to be trusted with the leadership of this organization. It is the mission of Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center and Seminary Ridge Historic Preservation Foundation to restore, preserve, and maintain the National Historic Civil War properties, architectures, and historic legacies of Seminary Ridge and provide education and communication of these legacies for the general public. As we near the 10th anniversary of the museum's opening and my 3rd anniversary leading a skilled and passionate team of paid staff and volunteers, I thought it appropriate to take some time this evening to provide you with a review of how, in the midst of a global pandemic, you have helped us to meet our mission. And because you are an integral part of this community, I am eager to let you in on some of the plans that we have for the future. As I have said before, the staff is here because we love what we do, but we keep doing it because we know that you are as passionate as we are. So I want to start by thanking you for being on this journey with us. This winter has been the first time since 2020 that we did not have a closure of the museum for an extended period. We remained open on weekends, and I am thrilled to say that attendance through those cold months exceeded the combined average visitation for the winters of 2018, 2019, and 2020. Between December and February, dozens of visitors ascended those narrow stairs up to the cupola atop our building to take in the best view in town. The spot from which General John Buford surveyed the terrain west and north of town to lay out his defensive lines on June 30th, 1863. With the leaves off the trees, the view from the cupola is much different in winter than it is in spring and summer, and you can see much more of the ground that influenced Buford's decisions. We likely have a couple of weeks left before the leaves start to come out, so you can still take advantage of this unique view and see nearly 2 miles to the south towards the Round Tops. As of last week, we have reopened Wednesday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and are looking forward to returning to a 7-day schedule later this season. Spring heralds the return of school groups, and since 2021, we have been excited to steadily welcome back groups that had to postpone their visits during the pandemic. Some of these educators and group leaders have become family, bringing their students to the museum for nearly a decade. I am happy to report that as of today, we have nearly 50 groups already scheduled to come through the museum this spring, and dozens more are signing up every day. Earlier this week, we had nearly 100 students from Texas visit the museum and take part in one of our newer interactive activities, Run the Hospital. This is a gamified program in which teams of students take on the role of a division surgeon tasked with setting up and overseeing a Civil War hospital. Armed with primary source documents such as the 1860 Army Surgeon's Manual, participants must compete against other teams to determine the best way to manage their hospital, based on the information received, and as a result, save the most patients. Groups are also returning to take part in our Become a Soldier interactive activity, during which students are assigned the name of soldiers who fought here on Seminary Ridge and muster into service, and our new Eve of Battle program, an evening campfire interactive lesson that puts students in the shoes of Buford's cavalry soldiers in camp right on Seminary Ridge on the evening of June 30th, 1863. After 10 successful years of operations, we are beginning the work necessary to update our permanent exhibit, Voices of Duty and Devotion. I am happy to announce tonight that we have been awarded a grant from Americana Corner through which we will begin this work. In our current exhibit, we present information about surgeons, about nurses, patients, and seminary history through display books. This summer, we will replace 4 of these books with iPads. We are honored to partner with Barbara Franco, founding Executive Director Emerita of Seminary Ridge Museum and current member of the Seminary Ridge Historic Preservation Foundation Board of Directors. We will share Barbara's extensive research on surgeons and nurses who were present during and after the Battle of Gettysburg. Since her retirement in 2015, Barbara has compiled a one-of-a-kind database of over 1,200 individuals who served at Gettysburg, including information about their training as medical personnel, their social and cultural networks, and their actions and movements in this vast hospital town. Barbara's own work will join our staff's valuable research into the nearly 500 patients at the Seminary Hospital, which we have been compiling since 2013. Now, for the first time, visitors will be able to access census information, military records, and stories about the men and women who worked within the walls of the Seminary Hospital and the borders of Gettysburg to repair men broken in battle in the days, weeks, and months following the conflict. For years, I have been excited about the prospect of compiling this information in one place and share with our friends, and now I can say that we are. We plan to roll out these additions to our exhibit by the end of 2023. This update is just one part of a larger initiative in which we have been engaging over the past 3 years to integrate technology into our galleries. As we undertook an artifact rotation last year, bringing more than 30 new artifacts onto display, we introduced QR codes into many of our artifact labels. While all of our labels contain basic information about the artifacts on display, now you can use your smart device to dive deeper into the artifacts on display by reading transcriptions of letters, perusing scans of books, and viewing short interpretive videos of our historians. On the second floor of the museum, for example, we are honored to display a coat worn by Chaplain Isaiah Kephart of the 21st Pennsylvania Cavalry, lent by our friends at the National Civil War Museum up in Harrisburg. If visitors wish to learn more about Kephart's life and service, all they have to do is to scan the QR code on the exhibit label, which will take them directly to Kephart's memoirs digitized online. Over the last year, thousands of visitors have scanned these codes to discover the stories behind our objects. This amplifies the museum's artifact displays and encourages visitors to curate their own learning experiences. As I always say, our goal is to inspire a deeper understanding of the history we present and to have visitors leave with more questions than they came in with. So you see, if you have been here before, there is always something new to discover on your next visit. Speaking of technology, our education team, headed by Cody Aish, has since 2019 embraced technology to greatly enhance our on-site and virtual educational offerings for school groups and learners of all ages. Nearly 4 years ago, we were privileged to receive a gift from the Lecomte Family Fund to transform the former Changing Exhibit Gallery on the first floor of the museum into the Lydia Ziegler-Clare Education Center. Named in honor of 13-year-old Lydia Ziegler-Clare, who, with her family, lived on the first floor of the seminary building during the battle, this 16-person flexible classroom space can be configured to deliver lectures, facilitate small conferences, or for students to engage in group work, or to air the State of the Museum address. In addition, we purchased 30 iPads, which we lend to students, permitting them to conduct historical research and complete scavenger hunts digitally. Finally, this room is outfitted with video conferencing capabilities, enabling students and groups to off-site to tour the museum with a guide without ever having to leave their classrooms. These tours draw upon the rich resources and stories in our museum galleries and include On Freedom's Frontier, which examines the Black community on the Mason-Dixon line between slavery and freedom, Fighters of the First Day, which uses artifacts on display to tell the stories of men who fought around the seminary building on July 1st, 1863, and Inside the Seminary Hospital, a lesson in which students follow a wounded soldier from the time of his wounding through his departure from the Ridge, learning about the birth of modern emergency medicine in the process. Our team has also built 360-degree virtual views of the museum's galleries that educators and students can access online for free at any time. Now, learners across the globe can stand in our galleries and explore the exhibit panels and artifacts that we have on display. But there is even more than that. We have linked these displays and other resources to videos mirroring the QR code overlay that we have in the museum. Like in the museum, visitors can develop their own questions through engaging with these exhibits, then search for answers and using reputable online sources. The virtual museum tour is augmented by dozens of free lessons available for download from our education website, www.seminaryridgeeducation.org. These resources include videos, primary source documents, and activities. Teachers can access these lessons and bring the unique and enduring stories of Seminary Ridge right into their classrooms. Real people faced real dilemmas here on the Ridge. Seminary President Samuel Simon Schmucker evolved his views on slavery from slave owner to anti-slavery advocate. Gettysburg resident Sarah Broadhead made the decision to return to the seminary hospital day after day and help wounded soldiers, later saying, "We do not know until tried what we are capable of." And James Pennington had to make the decision to escape slavery in Maryland through Adams County, leaving his family behind. Today, we can both learn and take inspiration from these individuals. As you can see, educating younger generations is a critical aspect of the work here. Last year, we fulfilled a long-time Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center dream by establishing a teacher advisory panel. This group of educators from across the country works alongside our education staff to provide feedback on lessons and activities for middle and high school students, ensuring they are topical, classroom ready, and that they meet the highest standards. I am also thrilled to announce that this summer, we will be welcoming our very first teacher in residence to the SRMEC team through a generous grant from the Stabler Foundation. This veteran educator will spend the summer working here with our Director of Education and Museum Operations, Cody, to create new lessons and educational content for on-site and virtual learners. With summer quickly approaching, our entire team is hard at work planning on-site events here at Seminary Ridge. This past weekend, we kicked off our season with our annual symposium, this year, 5 Crucial Days to Gettysburg. We were honored once again to welcome historians James Hessler, Eric Lindblade, and Stuart Dempsey as we looked in depth at the decisions and events that brought the Army of the Potomac and the Army of Northern Virginia to clashing around this small crossroads town. More than 150 friends joined us both on-site and virtually, making it our best attended symposium ever. One attendee remarked that he and a friend had a grand time at the symposium. The presentations were superb, he wrote. We both felt it may have been the best seminar either of us had ever attended on the war, and we attended our first one during Reconstruction. In May, we will resume our Sunset at the Seminary evening programs. Since 2018, excepting 2020, our friends have gathered on a Friday night once a month to walk Seminary Ridge and discover the stories of the individuals who lived, worked, and fought here on this hallowed ground. Previous walks have recounted the last stand of the United States First Corps at 4:30 p.m. on July 1st, 1863, here on the seminary grounds. It has recounted the civilians of Seminary Ridge, including the Schmucker family, the Ziegler family, the Krauth family, and the students who were caught here on campus during the fighting. We have also looked at artistic depictions of the seminary building and grounds over the last 190 years. I'm happy to tell you tonight that this year, in addition to our walking tours, we will be launching an In Conversation series as part of our Sunset at the Seminary evenings. These programs will bring scholars of the Civil War to the Ridge to engage in conversation with our participants, mediated by one of our historians. The scholar will talk about their research and take questions, all with picturesque Seminary Ridge and a campfire in the background. July will, of course, bring the 160th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg and the 10th anniversary of the opening of Seminary Ridge Museum. We are working on a schedule of speakers, living historians, and tours that will commemorate this noteworthy event. Over the next few weeks, we look forward to releasing more information and a tentative schedule on our website. In the fall, we are eager to once again host our annual 24 Hours on the Ridge event. In years past, this event, which we keep the museum open for a full 24 hours, has taken place during the week. Tonight, I am pleased to announce that due to popular demand, we will be moving this event to the last weekend in October. The museum will remain open from 5 p.m. on Friday, October 27th through 5 p.m. on October 28th. We will welcome scholars, living historians, show a movie or two, and relaunch our Living Museum Candlelit Tour. We will also be debuting a new exhibit on sleep-deprived museum professionals. Just kidding. We are always adding information about upcoming events to both our website and our social media, so please be sure to keep your eyes out. We will also continue to send email updates. If you are not on our email list but wish to get a few updates a month, please sign up on our website. Friends, I am still in awe at times that we get to protect and interpret this artifact, the seminary building. A few weeks ago, I was leading a tour on the 4th floor of the museum. For some reason that I cannot explain, I stopped on a floorboard that squeaked when I moved my foot. This small noise reminded me of what sets us apart from many museums in the area and indeed around the nation. In a newly constructed building, this creak would be most unwelcome. For us, it reminds us of the age of the structure, of the people who trod those floorboards, and of the lessons that the old seminary building has in its walls. As you can see, this building is a teaching tool of unimaginable wealth. We need to protect and interpret this structure so current and future generations can learn the stories of and take inspiration from its hallowed halls and the ground on which the nation pivoted. As with any historic artifact, large or small, our building requires constant care and attention to ensure that it remains standing for generations to come. As part of our mission, the staff here at Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center engage in critical preservation and maintenance work every day to protect the historical fabric of the structure and the artifacts in our care. It is our responsibility to keep the building at a constant temperature and humidity level to prevent the growth of harmful mold that can cause the deterioration of original wood infrastructure of the building. And we must be constantly monitoring for harmful pests, eradicating them before they have a chance to take hold and damage historical surfaces. If you are a member of Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center, you are helping with this critical work, and I thank you for your partnership in this undertaking. If you are not a member, I hope that you will consider becoming one. In addition to the benefits of membership, like free admission to the museum and a free cupola tour, you are providing vital support essential for our team to continue filling our mission. For as much thinking as we do about the past in a history museum, the most critical part of my job is to think about the future. How is this building going to be around in 100 years when we are not? One way is through an endowment. In 2020, Seminary Ridge Historic Preservation Foundation established an endowment that we have been steadily building and stands at nearly $140,000. This year, I look forward to taking the steps necessary to grow this fund so our team can continue to have the resources it needs to fulfill our mission of preservation and education and keep this building standing. As we end our time together this evening, I want to make two final points. First, I want to thank you again for being on this journey with us. We are not just a museum, we are a community. One of my favorite parts of my job here has always been talking with our visitors and members and hearing about their connection to the Civil War, to Gettysburg, and to Seminary Ridge. Which brings me to my second point. I'd love to hear from you. What sorts of programming would you like to see? What would make you feel more connected to this ground? Send me an email, send me a letter, leave a comment on this video or on our social media. So while this talk was quite one-directional, I do hope that you will stay in touch with me. My email is pmiele@seminaryridgemuseum.org, or you can contact me through our website, www.seminaryridgemuseum.org. One more thing before we depart. I want to stress that I am unbelievably fortunate to lead a committed and skilled team. Every success about which I have spoken this evening is because of their knowledge, dedication, and abilities. I want to acknowledge Rob Williams, our Director of Outreach behind the camera, Cody Aish, our Director of Education and Museum Operations, who's also here in the room with us, Annette Jorgensen, our Membership and Development Coordinator, Caleb Kusmaricik, our Education and Visitor Services Coordinator, Amanda Partner, our Lead Visitor Services Assistant, and Visitor Services Assistants Mary Hoban, Brian Malkin, Michael Bariki, Pulani Wilder, and Joseph Staub. Thank you again for all that you do to help us here. Good night, and I look forward to seeing you on the Ridge soon.